What's the most efficient way to up your vertigo skills? Hi, Peter Johns here, emergency physician with 37 years of experience, retired for the past 2 years, and also been a passionate vertigo educator for the past 25 years. Today, the question I'll answer is, what's the most efficient way to go from vertigo inadequate to vertigo competent or even to vertigo excellence? As I like to do in some of my videos, I'll give a short answer first, and then I'll give the long answer. And the short answer is this. Go to vertigocourse.com and read about the vertigo course that Scott Weingart and I created over the last 2 years. If you sign up for it and spend a few hours going through it, your vertigo knowledge will soon be in the top 5% or higher of practicing clinicians who haven't undergone some kind of dedicated vertigo training program. That's it. That's the short answer. I think it's the most efficient and effective way to up your vertigo game. But why do I believe this to be true? Well, it's time for the long answer. Many different kinds of clinicians are tasked with having to evaluate patients presenting with undifferentiated dizziness vertigo. And from my experience with teaching clinicians over the past several decades, I know that the majority of them sense that their vertigo skills are not as good as they could be, or even downright terrible. And that makes them dislike seeing dizzy patients and fearful that they might miss a serious cause of vertigo. And disliking and fearing a common patient presentation like dizziness vertigo is not an enjoyable or rewarding way to practice medicine. I know that because I was one of those clinicians. When I started practice after 4 years of emergency medicine training in 1989, I knew as little, or as much, as the average emergency doctor. When I found out about the Epley maneuver in the late 1990s, I didn't think it was real, so I looked up the Epley papers and found out not only was it real, but it was simple to do and worked really, really well. And now, 25 years later, I've read more than 1,000 papers on the topic of vertigo, lectured across North America and also in Great Britain, Europe, and the Middle East. I'm an author on a number of papers on vertigo and several book chapters. I doubt anyone who's gotten this far in this video would consider this the most efficient way to up your vertigo game, and I agree. There has to be an easier way. What about reading textbooks? Although I'm proud of the chapter on vertigo in Tintinelli's textbook of emergency medicine 9th edition that I co-wrote with Brian Goldman, published in 2019, I think it would be hard to become vertigo competent just by reading it and watching the small number of videos accompanying it. Can you learn from a local vertigo champion? Sure, if you have one available and can get them to teach you, but currently there's just not enough of them around to raise the bar of vertigo education around the world. How about going to conferences like ACEP, SAME, USUM, CAPE, etc.? These conferences rarely have much content in terms of vertigo. For instance, last month's ACEP conference had only one lecture that I'm aware of. Can you learn from watching YouTube videos? Well, from the feedback I've got on this YouTube channel from many clinicians around the world, you certainly can. And believe me, I still plan on making YouTube videos for this channel. But the problem is that this channel has almost 60 videos containing over 8 hours of content, and the content is not arranged very well. And some videos dive into more detail than what you really want to know about vertigo. So as I stated in my short answer, SPIN class, the Vertigo Dizziness and Mastery class, I think is the most efficient and effective way to up your vertigo game. So let me tell you about it. Of all the lectures, workshops, papers, and chapters and videos I've worked on, I honestly believe this is the best vertigo educational tool I've ever created. SPIN class is a unique, brand new, subscription vertigo course that uses text, videos, and a quiz to sharpen up your vertigo assessment skills, as well as an option to Zoom live with me to ensure your HINTS exam technique is up to par. And you can also earn 16 hours of AMA-PRA Category 1 CME credits to boot. These CME credits are also recognized with the Canadian College of Family Physicians. Here's a list of the content that we'll cover during the course, and yes, there's a lot of information. In this course, I've partnered with Scott Weingart, who is an emergency medicine and critical care specialist with a focus on medical education and the creator of EMCrit, which is one of the most popular emergency medicine critical care podcasts and websites. Now, who is SPIN class for? Scott and I are both from emergency medicine backgrounds, so the course is perfectly suited for clinicians working or training in an emergency department or urgent care setting. But really, any medical professional who's called upon to evaluate the undifferentiated dizzy vertigo patient would benefit immensely from this course. and that would include those working in the fields of neurology and ENT, as well as primary care, geriatrics, and those physiotherapists who assess dizzy patients, and of course any medical students who are considering going into any of these areas. How do you know if you need this course? If my description of the clinician who fears and dislikes seeing dizzy patients resonated with you, you will benefit from this course. We'll up your vertigo game so much that rather than fearing and disliking seeing these patients, you'll be confident in your assessment and look forward to seeing the next dizzy patient that comes to your practice. And every single dizzy vertigo patient that you see for the rest of your career will be happy you took the course as well.
It's good.
Now to wrap up, I'm going to talk a little about the optional Zoom coaching session with me to check your HINTS exam skills. On an EM Crit podcast in 2022, Scott asked me, how do you know that a doc is ready to independently use the HINTS exam to make clinical decisions? And I answered, you have to be able to give the indications for using HINTS, list all the central features you have to screen for, know the parts of the HINTS exam, all without using any notes. Then you should have a vertigo champion watch you perform the HINTS exam to ensure you're doing it correctly. And lastly, you should show a video you made of an abnormal head impulse test to a vertigo champion to ensure you can interpret it properly. I said if you can do all that, I think you can use HINTS to make clinical decisions. But finding a vertigo champion to check your technique and interpretation isn't very easy for a lot of people. Well, not anymore. If you finish the course and want this option, sign up for the Zoom coaching session with me, and I'll observe you performing the HINTS exam on a normal friend, relative, colleague, and then give immediate corrective feedback as necessary. Then later, you can send me a video of the HINTS exam you performed on a patient that you believed had vestibular neuritis, and I'll email you an evaluation of your performance and an interpretation of the clinical findings seen in the video. This will take a couple of days, so it's not for deciding the patient's disposition. Ideally, it would be best to sign for both the course and the Zoom coaching session, but if you only want the Zoom coaching session assessment, you can sign up for that separately as well. So go to vertigocourse.com to find out more and to sign up for the course. You can also sign up for a free lesson about the head impulse test. The links to sign up for the course or the standalone Zoom coaching session with me will be in the description at the bottom of this video. I hope to see you soon.